Hello and welcome to the Profitable Coach Podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Rich, and as the founder of the Bold Life Movement and a fellow coach for more than 7 years, I know the challenges that many of you face when launching or growing your coaching business. And I'm here to pull back the curtain on the coaching industry and help you overcome roadblocks to make the impact you were born to make. Each week, I'll be interviewing successful coaches from every corner of the industry to share exactly how they have managed to generate massive impact and income. From strategy to psychology, we cover it all. This show is presented to you by Transformation Academy, a global marketplace of courses and coaching certifications. So whether you are already part of our epic community or you're brand new to this show, if you're ready to learn what it takes to turn your passion for service into a profitable business, then keep listening. You are in the right place. Welcome back to the Profitable Coach Podcast. This is episode number 36 with Sanda Kruger. And today's episode is really special because Sanda is actually one of our leading certification coaches at Transformation Academy. If you look in the library, she has some of the most certifications available as one of our top creators and coaches. So I was really looking forward to diving in today to one of the things that she's most passionate about, which is leveraging the laws of the universe. Leveraging the laws of the universe to manifest the coaching business that you desire, to manifest an authentic, expressive lifestyle that is based off of a beautiful service-based coaching business. So if you are someone who is sick of being in your head, you're ready to drop into your heart, you're ready to drop into your body, to let it be easy, to let it be fun, then today's conversation is for you. And if you want access to the show notes, head over to theprofitablecoach.com/036. All right, without further ado, please welcome the one and only Sanda Kruger. Hello. Welcome back to the Profitable Coach Podcast. Today I have with me someone that could be a very familiar face to many of you, Miss Sanda Kruger. Sanda, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much, Kimberly, for having me here. It's such an honor. I am really excited.
Yeah, so Sanda and I have a little bit in common in that we both coach and teach with TA, and she has created so many of the certification programs that are currently available inside the TA library. So I thought, who better to come on and talk about what it has taken for her to create a profitable coaching business than one of our very own. So Sanda, take me back to the early days of realizing that you wanted to serve people in this capacity. What were some of the things that you tried when you were first starting to get clients or wanting to host retreats? What was that initial journey like for you?
Oh, wow. Yes. Back in the day, and I've started this journey back in 2009, and I've actually started with fitness. My background is in dance, and I'm originally from Bucharest, Romania. I was born there, and I lived in Florida for like the last 18 years. And while I was a student at University of Bucharest, so back in the day, I was working in the summers in Turkey as a tour guide. So I had my certifications as a tour guide in Europe, and so I've learned there how to belly dance, and it was such a fun, feminine thing to do. So now, fast forward many years later, in Florida, back in 2009, I started going to Zumba classes. And in Zumba, you have all these rhythms, right? So my friend who was teaching the Zumba class really wanted to learn belly dance. So that's how I actually started. That was my first experience in teaching somebody else something. And I was teaching her, different belly dance moves that I've learned in Turkey. And then all of a sudden, I'm full of insightful moments in which, like, impulsively, I get this message in the morning and I just go for it. And so all of a sudden, I got this inspire message to go and propose this new fitness program, which was at that point called Belly Dance Fitness, which later on became Belly Core Fitness. And this is how it started. And then naturally from fitness, of course, I took all my fitness certifications, and then I got really passionate about aqua fitness. And then naturally, people who were taking my fitness classes, they would ask, well, what do you eat? You've always been kind of tiny. And so I was like, I'm eating my normal European, even though I lived here in the US, I'm eating my European diets, which is not really a diet, it's just like a lifestyle. So I started teaching them what I'm eating and what I'm doing. So it turns out that I am doing intermittent fasting naturally. I had no idea that that's how it's called. And so I went to the library and I started studying, and I took some certifications in nutrition so I can like create these courses because people kept asking. And then naturally from there, we formed the Health Life Coaching Certification with TA. It was a collaboration with Natalie and Joel. And then all these people who are taking my fitness programs and my nutrition programs in time had their friends and family coming to them and asking them questions. And so it was a natural progression to where people wanted to become coaches. And so I was like, well, my background is in philosophy. I have a degree in philosophy from University of Bucharest, but then here I studied business. So my background is actually in business administration. So it came out perfect. So I was like, well, let me teach you what I do. Even though, to be honest, when I first started my fitness classes, I had 0 students. Actually, Therese Harmon, who is also a TA coach, she was in one of my first belly core fitness classes.
Amazing.
And yes, and so I started making about what you can do to grow your business. I literally started making flyers, paper flyers at home. I would cut them by myself and I would put them at the mall in the windshields of different cars. And then I started, hiring this marketing company that would do the same. It would just go into the zip codes in, around the place where I would teach, and put in the doorknob with a little elastic thing. They would put the flyers, so I'll pay them for that. And so that's how it started. And literally, life coaching was just such a natural transition from that, because I've realized that we cannot change the body. We cannot change our eating habits. We cannot change anything until we change our mindset and we overcome our limiting beliefs about our own selves. So that's
100%.
my story.
Yeah, I was talking on the Coaching Confidence Accelerator program just yesterday about the emphasis of identity work and how important identity work is to any shift that you want to make in any area of your life. So I'm curious, what are some of the shifts in your identity that you've had to make over the years to constantly be up-leveling, evolving, calling in a new caliber of clients, etc.?
Yes, the identity work, it's been probably my primary work, and it's still something that I focus on in all of my courses. I'm actually writing a new one right now. It's called Soul Consciousness Life Coaching Certification, and that's one of the keys is asking the question, who am I, and answering it. And so that has everything to do with identity. And so when I first came to the United States, I literally identified with this woman who, for her success, needs to have certain things in place. Like, for example, you need to have a family and you need to be fulfilled in different parts of your existence. And then that's the base. And then, your successful business and whatever it is you want to do, it's based on that. But that has changed over the years, obviously, because and then life made it happen that way. So the changes came, regardless of my choices, many of them. The identity became such a fundamental factor to where right now I know I am soul consciousness, I am energy, I am all unlimited with the power of manifestation that until maybe like 3-4 years ago, I was not fully aware I have. And I believe that everybody has. So my newest courses, for those who have been taking my life coaching certifications from 2017, 18, when we started posting them on TA, I think that, they can see the transition because it's more soul focused. It's more internal rather than being affected by external factors. So I think that identity is becoming more centered for each and every one of us. And that's what we're called to do, to focus on our internal power and not depend so much on the external factors. But also, I want to mention here that part of this process for me, and I can identify around me with my clients, that the main work that needs to come first, it's identifying our limiting beliefs and their causes. What caused this? Where does it come from? And then applying methods to transcend these limiting beliefs, all the fear, all the, like for me, in my case, I grew up in a very patriarchal society. I left home, I ran from home at 18 because I felt that my parents would not allow me to speak up who I am. And so, but even so, even though I rebelled, I still had all those patterns in my subconscious programming. And so it took a while. Yeah, it took a while for me to actually identify them and then learn the methods on how I can overcome this. So I include all this in my courses, and I know that many of you know that.
So, oh my gosh, there's so many threads I want to go down from what you just said. First, since we're on the topic, what are 1 to 2 things that you've seen prove to be really impactful when it comes to shifting those limiting beliefs? I see so many people becoming aware of them, but they're like, I'm aware of them. Now I think I might be reinforcing them, and I'm not actually shifting them. So what would you say to that?
Yes, absolutely. And that's a trend right now. I think many people are on that trend, but they're getting there where they're transcending it. The first thing that I would say that really worked for me was awareness. So the number one thing was to become aware. It's like you cannot change anything until you become aware that that is an issue, right? The second thing, the most important thing, it's to take action. Because what I'm noticing these days is that there's so many people who are taking all these courses, they're reading, they're listening to podcasts, they're listening to stuff on YouTube, but it's all left at a theoretical level. They do not apply anything practical. So as practical methods go, I will say that for me, the best thing that worked was introducing meditation in my life, like on a routine basis. Why is that? Because when we truly meditate, and I don't mean here like guided meditations, I mean, start with guided meditation, but get to the point where you really meditate, because that's the way to quiet the subconscious mind. And that's when you connect to your true real self. And that's where you receive the guidance towards, like the best opportunities. You meet the best people, but it's a mind discipline need at first. Yeah. So applying those things, mind discipline means simply what? It means practically create the time in your day and respect it. Many people in coaching are so good at making their schedules, right? They all have these planners and they go with that. Include in your plan for the day time for meditation, 15, 20 minutes a day on your own. And then affirmations, and then training our minds to just appreciate everything there is. So yeah, these 3 things I will say, and there's so many more, like taking breaks, spending time in nature, do things that really feed your soul. But these 3, meditation, mind discipline, to create a space for you to meditate, maybe writing in journals, affirmations, and appreciation. These 3 things are huge.
So help me connect the dot between, I have identified a limiting belief. Let's just say it is, I'm not young enough. Let's say that's the thing. I'm not young enough to accomplish my dreams. How would I apply the affirmations and the meditation and the journaling to help me rewrite that belief into a more empowering one?
Yeah, so I'm not young enough. It's very common. So first of all, let's observe that that's a negation, right? And so we are so geared towards looking at what we are not and focusing on what we criticize about ourselves and about others around us and about situations and the environment. And so the first thing to do is to become aware that we have this negative thought about our own self. And once we are aware of that, then we can literally just reformulate in our minds. And we can then say it out loud. And at first, the mind is going to tell you, oh, you're lying because you are, not old enough, not young enough. You're old. But if we persist, so consistency and perseverance are extremely important in this. So we can change the words to, I am mature. I am, I have, let's say, I have experience, right? So instead of saying like, I'm not young enough, we can see the positive in our age, the positive in our situation. And if it's helping, what I recommend to many of my clients when we just start is literally to write the affirmations of what we want to reprogram on post-its and literally put it on mirrors at the bathroom or whatever it is that you have, like in your desk in front of you, where you can be exposed to these things again and again and again. Because what happens is, I'm not young enough. It's coming based on a very deep program in your subconscious mind, which says at the society level that there is a certain age that can do certain things, but once you pass that age, now you're not capable or you shouldn't. And that's just based on like old beliefs and old programming and stuff like that. So we want to transcend that, obviously. So then let's work on it. So that would be the first thing, let's pay attention to the words. Let's change the words, make affirmations out of negations, simple stuff, really, and repeat it, because that's how we form those limiting beliefs in the first place.
Yeah. What advice would you give to people who they've started these practices many times, but the consistency and the discipline tends to be where they fall off? How do you encourage discipline and consistency?
I am sorry, you will have to repeat the question because I didn't hear a part of it.
Oh, no worries. The internet, no sweat.
Yeah.
So the question was, how do you encourage your clients or support them in creating the consistency that is needed for these things to really be effective?
Well, I do have many programs that will hold the accountability part in them. So first of all, I think that each and every one of us are resistant to change in general. It's because our subconscious is just so strong, and often it controls everything we do and say. And so we resist change because we like our comfort. We want to stay in our comfort zone. So I really applaud the ones like our audience, I'm sure, who want something different and they're ready to take that step. But I also am very aware that many times, just like when we're looking at New Year's resolutions, right? Many times people become complacent. They start something in force, but then they give up. So in my programs, especially the programs in person, I do implement 3 types of accountability. First of all, there is your accountability that you hold upon yourself, right? You can create your own instruments, like just putting stuff on your phone or different things. Create your own instruments to keep yourself accountable. But then you can have somebody else, like a different person, maybe a coach, maybe a mentor, maybe, I don't know, somebody in your family or a friend to hold you accountable. So that would be an external accountability. And also we can have a group accountability factor. Mm-hmm. So the 3 of them coming together really, really work. But I think ultimately what's very important, I think where we're going as societies, we're going towards that inner accountability, that main focus on what really works for us. And we want to do it to better ourselves rather than, for external factors.
Yeah, creating that intrinsic reward system, getting really clear on like what gives me that intrinsic reward and replicating it over and over. One of the things that you said I want to call out is how much of a gift accountability is from a coach to a client, and how resistant our clients might be to that. So really like leading with that when you start a coaching relationship with someone, there might be times when you really resist me. There might be times when you are mad at me, annoyed with me. You don't want to do the work because that is your old way of being, like wrestling with this new version of you trying to come in and take home in your body, right? So I like that you said that and just wanted to like call it out. One of the other really powerful things that you mentioned early on in this conversation was you were just following what lit you up. You were listening to the inner calls, you were following the things that interested you, and then you were teaching people who were a couple steps behind you. I think that this is where a lot of people's imposter syndrome comes in. They think they need to be an expert and they forget they're already a couple steps ahead of someone. So I'm wondering if you can speak to the imposter syndrome that new coaches may feel.
Yes. Oh, this is huge because I've been through it, obviously. I don't know anybody who hasn't at some point starting their coaching career. I was telling you that, I when I started the ketogenic diet course and the intermittent fasting, it was such a awakening for me because I was doing that. I didn't know I was doing that. And obviously I had no school, no certifications, no education about it. I was just doing what my body was telling me. And I've always had a good relationship with my body. And so at first I did feel very, I feel like I don't know anything. I feel like I need to learn, which I have done. And I totally recommend it. I recommend you get started first because we know more than we think we know. And if you really feel that you don't know, in this day of age, there's so many sources, right?
Yeah.
You can take a course online. You can go on YouTube and figure things out. You can, and I'm not saying, lie to people and be a fraud, which many of us feel at the beginning. I am saying get started. Do not let the fact that you don't have the full knowledge of what you think you should know, you don't have that full quantity quite imprinted in your brain yet, because I'll tell you that will never happen. That will never happen. This is a never-ending story. We're always continuously learning new things. Things are always changing. Technology, it's showing new things. We have new tools. There are new studies out there. So if you see, our courses are always like upgraded and we offer new information. We add new chapters to them, new lectures. Why? Because it's a never-ending story. So don't believe for a second that you don't know enough. And if you really have that overwhelming feeling, then finish the course. Get disciplined to actually finish it. Because I know there's so many who are starting and finishing never, or
Totally.
or it takes a long time. So I would say go ahead and do it. Do not self-sabotage. Do not put obstacles in your own way. And yes, just like you said, Kimberly, there are always people who will know less than you do and need your guidance. Always. Just
100%.
Be open to attract them, because it's just a matter of us, right? It's always the law of attraction in place here. But the more open we are, the more the right clients come towards us.
Yeah, one of my favorite things I heard recently is there's no unique message, only unique messengers. And so just trust that even if you feel like someone else has done it before you, done it better, done it bigger, no one's done it the way that you can do it. And if you are worried about being an imposter, you probably aren't one, because true frauds, true imposters, they're not worried about it. They're like, yeah, I know I'm a fake. That's the point. Like, I'm trying to play everyone. If you're worried about being that, that's not
Yeah.
you. And if you're trying something for the first time, of course it's going to feel new and scary. Of course you're going to feel like, who am I to do this? So trust that as like the green light, actually. Let's talk a little bit
Yeah,
about
I agree.
how you use the universal laws in your business and how our listeners can apply some
Oh,
of those to theirs.
yes. So I've been led intuitively to the universal laws. A couple of years ago, I woke up one morning, and I'm going to tell the story very short, in a short version. I woke up one morning with very strong impulse to go to Romania. And like I said, that's where I'm from. And I haven't been there in like 6 years. I didn't know why I'm going there, but nevertheless, I got the flight ticket. I got in a plane. So a week later, I was in Romania. That's how strong that impulse was. And I didn't know what I'm doing there, other than, of course, seeing friends and family after COVID and all that. So I got into a car and I started driving around. So long story short, I got the message that I am actually there to start coaching in Romania as well. And more than that, to create this Romanian retreats, Transylvanian retreats, which we've had last year, two editions, and we're having more this year. And so it was through the retreats that I started getting, and I know this may sound very woo-woo for many people, but my guidance comes intuitively lately. And actually, my new course that's launching this month is an intuitive development life coaching certification. So keep an eye for that. But it's just, it came into my attention. Of course, I knew about the law of attraction, right? Because I love Abraham Hicks and I've been listening to them for like 20 years now. And you know how you listen to things for a million times and then all of a sudden, 20 years later, something clicks, and all the dots start connecting. So that's exactly what happened to me a few years ago, where it was this big like light and clarity that came to me. And so based on the law of attraction, I started looking more into like the other laws, because I knew based on nature, because now I was connected to, the Romanian mountains. I'm a city girl. I've never been connected to the mountains. And here I am now, loving time in nature and forests and all this stuff. So I'm like, and I'm hearing and I'm feeling this state of being and this vibration. So obviously I'm like, okay, is there like what is happening, right? So this is self-discovery here. And so I got pulled into the law of vibration, which turns out to be at the base of the law of attraction, which kind of focuses on creating our point of attraction. So it really made total sense for the manifestation process. And so I kind of put two and two together, and then I started studying about the other laws. And there is the law of correspondence. What's within, it's without. So how we feel on the inside is going to reflect on our outcomes. And so all of that just came together. The law of inspired action, the law of transmutation of energy. Like we get this idea, like I'm getting ideas of writing a new course, and that idea, it's energy. And then I transmute that energy into something tangible. I actually make it happen. And your business, the coaching business, it's exactly what it is. You have an idea, you have an impulse. That's energy that you can transmute into something tangible to help and guide people. These are the universal laws. And if we look around us in nature, they do apply to everything and everybody. And so we might as well just learn how to apply them efficiently in our own life. Because I always give this example. When we do that, it feels like we're going nicely with the flow and we're just smoothly floating. Things are coming to us and we are just attracting good opportunities and good people in our lives. But when we go against them, it really feels like we're hitting a wall all the time. Yeah. And it feels like we're swimming upstream, and it's so effort. Like, how many people put so much effort into everything, right?
It's exhausting.
And they don't get the results. It's exhausting. And then they also have this scarcity mentality was like, I don't have enough time to finish what I meant to do today. I don't have enough money. I don't have this. I don't have. So it's always, that. So the universal laws have made a huge impact in my life when I got to like, oh, wait
So
a
I have
second.
2 questions on that.
Yes.
One is, are these based off of like the Hermetic principles, or is there some resource that we can point the listeners to if they want to know, like, what are the laws? Where can I read about them? What would be the resource?
Definitely, yes. The Hermetic principles are at the base of the universal laws that I've been using, and the ones that have taken this universal laws life coaching certification. All my courses start with the history and the research of those subjects. And the funny thing is that these universal laws have been not only in the expressed through the Hermetic principles, but we can see them in different philosophies and different cultures throughout the world. I studied philosophy, so I know that Socrates and Plato and Aristotle have talked about them. I know that there are Oriental philosophies that have talked about it, like Taoism, and there's Hinduism and Buddhism. So yes, they have the basis definitely in history. You can find them.
Awesome. And so the second question was to get even more specific for our listeners, because I think this particular issue is something I see a lot with my clients, and I've personally experienced as well, is time scarcity. How would you apply the universal principles to overcome time scarcity?
Yes, that's a huge deal right now. Well, I will go very woo-woo first and say time does not exist.
I saw that coming.
Yes, you walked right into it. Yes, well, at a universal level, time and space do not really exist. However, here on planet Earth, where we are and living this human experience, we do have this duality, right? The abundance and the lack of everything. And I would say I would go as woo as saying that we are here experiencing this on purpose. So how about that? We are here to be exposed to this contrast. So let's put it this way. I will tell you a very, very personal example. I wrote the intuitive development life coaching certification in a month. And I was just very surprised recently when I saw that after editing, it was 18 hours, of course. And why was I so surprised was because when I realized that when I'm very inspired and when I am in alignment, I can write 15 hours a day and edit and do what I need to do, and I don't feel any effort. So when I'm saying that time does not exist, it really means that we have the power to transcend it. We have the power, and I know this sounds crazy to some people, but go with me here. We have the power of making time seem like it's going very, very fast or very, very slow. I used to have, back in the day, a 9-to-5 job. And even though I more or less love, because I love sales. So I was a banker and I could do all kinds of, sales and talk to people. And so even though I love sales, those 8 hours of work seemed like forever. I mean, how many people can relate to this, right?
Oh, yeah.
It seemed like the time stops and it's moving so slowly. But when we do things that we really enjoy, time moves really fast, right? And so we, each and every one of us, through our attitude, through our perspectives, through our alignment, we can make time move faster or slower. And so, yes, I truly believe we have that power. I feel it on my own self. And I gave you some examples of how if we do things that are really aligned to our soul's mission, to our purpose, which I really believe that many life coaches who are called towards this are doing, then things are moving so much smoother and time really fades. You can, just like I do, you can write a book, you can work with clients, you can do things and not even know when that hour passed, right? But then if you do things that are not in alignment with yourself, if you're forcing yourself to do stuff, if you are, doing it for the wrong reasons, like putting money first, or, whatever it is that just doesn't align with you, you're going to feel the time obstacle being there. Like, I don't have enough time. I'm trying so hard. And then you put so much effort into it and you never get it done quite as you would like it to be. So I hope that answered the question.
I think that also one important note is to be able to focus on the things that are in alignment, that do light you up, that allow you to get into a flow state. It does mean being strategic about not doing the things that don't. So finding the who to take care of it, the someone else to outsource it to. There's a great book, Who Not How. So like the things that don't light you up, don't stress about how to do it. Just find the right person who can figure out the how and offload it to them. And there's so many resources today, more than ever before, where you can find support in that way. Upwork, Fiverr. I mean, that's just a couple of the many different VA services out there.
Yes. Well, I will add to that the fact that if everybody or anybody starts the coaching business like I did, where I have very limited resources, financial resources. So going and hiring and delegating was not an option for me at first. And I know that there are many out there relating to this. It's very important to split our time, split our days, and like you said, focus, split the time to where you really allow yourself to do everything that you need to do, or find help throughout family and friends at first, right? People who may help you without really asking for money for it. And then in time, definitely go out there and give work to the people who really also need it. And they may do it much faster, much better than you do. Anytime, any day. Yes.
And also interns, I think, are an underrated resource.
Yes.
Like if you live in a town that has a college, even if you're just starting out, if you present yourself as an expert, you are an expert, and someone will want to come into your company, your business, your world, and support you. So leveraging that resource as well. And
Absolutely.
then also just to like reiterate what you just said in terms of setting aside the time, batching things. If you know, okay, I gotta like, the term is eat this frog, like you do the task that feels hard, overwhelming, even putting it off, like set aside the time to eat the frog, to do the hard thing, and then set aside spaciousness for you to like really immerse yourself in a task that lights you up, where you're the visionary, the dreamer, the creator, and allow that to like fuel you for the things that are harder.
Absolutely. That's why I always recommend starting the day with a little time of meditation and mindfulness. Because to me, when I do that, and I've been doing it regularly for years now, it feels like I am much better at, organizing my time and my day. And it just feels more like everything flows smoother this way.
Yeah. And that might mean getting up earlier.
Yes.
For those of you, I mean, this is the whole identity piece, right? I've been talking with friends recently about having given up alcohol. It wasn't even this like long-term play I was making, but it feels like it's a long-term play that has been made for me. And what that contributes to my life is better sleep. Better sleep means I can get up earlier. It means more energy in other areas. It means more clarity in other areas. And so really deciding like, what are my musts? Maybe my must is getting to have a glass of wine every day, but also maybe my must is getting my book out on time. And so like actually deciding, sometimes you can't have both, and figuring out what that means in your life. Like it's going to be different for everyone.
Absolutely. I totally relate to that. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm curious, what are some current identity shifts that you're making to get to that next level? Because I can see the past few years have been very transformative, and it's like these accelerated timelines happening for the healers and the light workers of the world. So what's current and alive for you right now?
Yes, it's exactly what's happening. Everything is accelerated. It's actually crazy of how fast
Mhm.
things are changing. I am not the same person I was like a month ago.
Yeah,
Um,
same.
yes, it's like wow.
It's hard to
So
keep up sometimes, like holding onto the table.
exactly, it feels like we're on a roller coaster, but it's all the high now. So it's, yeah. Um, so what has really been changing for me? It has to do with my deep rooted identity. So I've been working on just identifying my limited beliefs for many years. But lately, I'm doing some fine tuning to the point where all these suppressed emotions that obviously I didn't know are there from my shadow self are coming out naturally. So I'm also in my work with clients, I'm using much more my intuition than ever before. And
Mm.
so I will have a plan. I have the program that comes in, but then I'm facing the client and I feel it's very hard to explain this, but I'm getting visions. I know what's going on, and I somehow know, and I cannot assume that at my ego level, but somehow I know what to say, and I know what to offer them, and it's exactly what they need to have this insight after insight after insight. So I think we're
Mm.
all going in this direction. Um, to the point where we're so aligned but more open. So what does that really mean is that the more we quiet our human ego, our human personality, and that means work on yourself, right? Get to know your
Yeah.
limitations, bring them out to the surface. The more we do that work, the more open we become to receive that intuitive guidance. And I have never felt that I am a more of service ever before through all my programs and everything I've done through my life as I've been in the last 3-4 months. So literally
Mm.
since the beginning of this year, things have shifted rapidly and I am more in tune, and I'm offering, like, the feedback that I receive is like mind blowing because I'm offering what people really need, the ones that are in front of me. So yeah,
Yeah,
those are huge shifts.
I love that. So, one of the questions, excuse me, one of the questions that comes up most often is how do you find the clients? Like what have been the practices both on like an energetic and a practical level to
Yeah.
bring in new clients?
So I have what not to do and what to do. I
Love
have
it.
two things to say. What what I've tried really hard um, for the last years after my ideas with my guidance towards the retreats came, I've everything came intuitively. I'm not going to say instinctively because that's connected often to subconscious
Mm.
guiding, but I everything came on intuition basis. But then what I did was, well, let me accelerate this. Like, things are moving so amazingly. I'm finding the place, like everything feels inspired. And then my human self holds on to this, my personality. I'm hiring this team in Romania, like marketing, let's do this, let's do everything. I'm putting lots of money into it. And funny thing is, when we are in alignment, at least in my experience, money comes.
Mhm.
I cannot explain it differently, but resources come,
Yeah.
people come, everything just flows towards me because I'm very open and allowing. But then once I started taking control at an egoistic mind level, and I started putting in practice all this, like, marketing programs and spending money on them, and the focus shifted. That's what I want to get. When my focus shifted from my inner guidance of serving people,
Mm.
helping them, guiding them towards their own self, it shifted to how can we make more money with this? In my case, and it may not be for everybody, but in my case, the universe came back and it was like, your guidance, it's supposed to be focused first. Money are going to come if you follow the inner path, if you follow your soul's path of helping, and that's always your main focus. If you instead choose to focus on anything else, you're going to get, like a good parent does, it's going to be like, no. So throughout the last 3 years, that's pretty much what didn't work for me and what worked for me. It worked following your guidance. That's why I always recommend, especially now, find who you are, align to who you are. Yes, of course, do the disciplinary things you need to do, have the strategy, do the planning. Don't worry so much about the how, but have that ultimate goal, an ultimate desire. I want to be of service. That's why I'm called here. And money are coming when I'm not focusing on them. Honestly, when I'm not focusing on them primarily, they are a secondary, obviously, desire. We all want them. They are a good tool to have. But in my case, every time I focus on them primarily and they take control, I'm not, I'm just pushed back like, no. So that's me.
Yeah. Well, it makes me think of Tony Robbins. He says this a million times. You're in your head, you're dead. It's like coming out of the heart and getting stuck in the head. And remembering you need both. Like, it cannot be all here. It cannot be all ego. Like, just do. It's like, okay, but who am I being as I'm doing the doing? And really coming back to who do I want to be in every phase of the process. Beautiful.
Yeah,
so
you said it beautifully.
Sanda, I know you have a really exciting program starting very soon with TA. I think today, the day that this episode goes live, is maybe the last day of the early bird. So I want to make sure that we talk about this. It's, an overarching theme that we've been chatting about in today's conversation. So do you want to tell us a little bit about this upcoming program?
Yes, I'm very excited. Thank you for bringing it up. So I do have, for the first time with TA, a program that is in person. Well, in person, no, it's live on Zoom. It may be in person soon, but right now it's live on Zoom, 7 weeks. We're going to start on March 27th. And we're going to go from there until May. It is focused on abundance and manifestation, unveiling yourself, start being, so you can manifest the prosperity, the happiness, the success, everything you want in life that you felt you worked really hard for so far, but you didn't quite get to experience it. Why? Because once we align, once we apply the 12 universal laws, so we're going to focus a lot on that. Once you get in touch with your intuitive voice and you start developing, your life is going to change because you are changing.
I love that. I love that. Are there any final words of wisdom that you want to leave our aspiring and new coaches with?
Yes. Be yourself. Find that real self that you are, what others call the higher self or the divine self. Be that. Find it, discover it, be that. Because following that path, your soul's path in life, is going to take you exactly where you want to be.
I love that. I hope everyone listening can feel Sanda's energy the way that I have gotten to today. It's just like so light and so encouraging, and she's beaming. I hope you watch this on YouTube if you can. Sanda, where can we follow you online and get more from you?
Well, you can follow me on TA. There are all the courses there, and also on social media, of course. I also have my own website where I would love to take you, especially for the retreats, because I do have this beautiful Transylvanian retreats coming up this summer, and I do have a few spots open. So if you are interested, the website is successcoachingacademy.org. But if you look online for Sanda Kruger on Facebook, on Instagram, TikTok, even YouTube, I am there.
Awesome. We'll have all of those linked up in the show notes as well.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It was so nice getting to connect. I feel like we've been swirling around each other in this TA world for the past year, and I'm so grateful to get to know you. And I'm excited for everyone that's going to join the Abundance and Manifestation workshop. It's going to be epic. She's been doing this for 17 years now, so she's an expert. Definitely join that if you feel called to another one of our live programs and you really want to up level in terms of your connection with the laws of the universe. So Sanda, thank you so much. So good to meet you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Big thank you to Sanda. If you are excited about the Abundance and Manifestation certification program that she's leading, then definitely go sign up today. The day that this podcast is released is the last day to sign up with the early bird pricing. You can catch the link for that inside the show notes at theprofitablecoach.com/036. It's a 7-week beautiful program that Sanda will be leading live. And if you've been in any of our live programs, you know that there is such power and such potency to being in community, to being in the vortex of that energy where everyone is committed to up-leveling, committed to being in the frequency of flow. So again, if you want that information or anything else that we talked about on today's episode, head to theprofitablecoach.com/036. Sending you guys biggest love, and I will catch you on next week's episode.